know what you're probably thinking. Oh great, here's another guy on the internet that's trying to sell me something.
No, God, please, no!
And I mean, honestly, that's completely fair. I mean, you don't know me, I don't know you. What's this all about, right? I mean, why are we here? It's a great question. But in all seriousness, you're watching this video because you're not like everyone else. Think about the amount of people that scroll online for hours on end on a daily basis, and never once do they consider what they're actually doing with their lives. Millions of people who lack direction, just listlessly drifting through life without any guidance, without any purpose. But not you. For some reason, out of the millions upon millions of videos there are out there on the internet, you're watching this one. Now, I know I only have a little bit of your time, so let me just cut straight to the chase. My name is Colin Sam. I'm 21 years old from a small town in Pennsylvania, and thanks to this one specific skill set, I'm consistently taking home thousands of dollars per month while enjoying life on my own terms, working from anywhere in the world, and only spending 2 to 3 hours per day on Zoom meetings and answering text messages. And now you're probably thinking, well, good for you, Colin, I don't really give a shit. But no, what if I told you that this specific skill set allowed me to quit my shitty grocery store job at 19, drop out of college, and travel to 5 different countries before the age of 21 by simply taking a few Zoom meetings every day? What if I told you that this specific skill set allowed me to make $200 in line at Chipotle while ordering a burrito, simply by answering a few Instagram DMs? What if I told you that it allowed me to wake up to 2 different commission payments and make $600 before I even had time to make breakfast because of a few phone calls I took earlier that week? Or what if I told you that it even helped me generate over $950 in a single day when I closed 3 deals from a hotel room on my laptop? Now you might be asking me, Colin, what kind of magical skill set helped you achieve all of these cool results? And let me let you in on a little secret. It's not magic, it's just learning how to sell shit online. And if you decide to stay for a minute or two, I'll be able to walk you through a bit more information on exactly how it works. But first, I want to explain to you that I wasn't always someone who was making money online. In reality, I went into this journey completely blind, just figuring things out as I went and learning from those in the positions that I wanted to be in. If you're anything like me when I first started out, I was so confused, lacking direction, lacking clarity, and just basically praying for something to work. I tried this opportunity and that opportunity and the next before I was actually able to find this skill set. And believe me, I struggled for months and even years before something decided to stick. There was a time that I felt like I'd never find the right opportunity. 2.5 years ago today, I was slaving away at a grocery store as a broke college dropout with nothing to show for it. I had no direction, no goals, and no idea of where I was headed next in life. I had just graduated high school and went to college, looking pretty spiffy if I do say so myself.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
But after realizing it wasn't for me, I knew I didn't want to continue living this boring lifestyle. I knew I was meant for bigger and better things. I knew the moment that I dropped out of college that I didn't want to live an average life. I wanted to become someone. I wanted to travel the world and make money online and just live the rest of my life comfortably. I wanted to achieve financial, location, and time freedom. And I knew that if I could figure out how to do it, I could share it with the world. And that's exactly why I created this video. Throughout my journey, after lots of trial and error, I discovered the skill set of remote high-ticket sales, which allowed me to achieve these freedoms that I was so desperately looking for. Look, before we can really break this skill set down into more depth, what you need to understand is that we're on the brink of a new chapter in human history, and it's what some experts are referring to as the digital gold rush. And with billions of dollars flooding into this new digital economy every year from consumers, more and more online businesses are dealing with a significant problem. And it's mainly the fact that many of these business owners are struggling with the ever-increasing demand from customers and potential buyers. And you might be saying, well, Colin, why exactly is that a problem? Don't businesses want to have more customers? And you'd be 100% right. But what's happening is that countless dollars are being left up for grabs right now just because these business owners lack the time during the day to connect with everyone who's interested in working with them. So ultimately, that's where you come in to capitalize on the opportunity and to take your piece of the financial pie without having to start your own business or take on any of the involved risk with doing so. Because the business owners that are facing these problems are willing to pay handfuls of cash to get help solving them. Now, let's take a step back real quick because you're probably asking yourself, okay, Colin, like I get that these business owners need help selling their products, but I'm not sure how to even help them. Like, how does it work? Well, you're in luck because the process is really simple. See, the types of business owners that are succeeding in this field have a very specific structure within their businesses to take regular, everyday people who have never even heard of them before, and turn those people into paying customers. So what we'll do is take a deeper look into the concepts behind the sales funnel and break it all down step by step. So here we have the sales funnel. Typically, it all starts with an advertisement. So here, as you can see, we have our advertisement in place. These business owners typically all start off on the same foot and begin by running some form of advertisement, usually on social media, whether that's Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, etc. Think of all these reels that you see online from people like Alex Hormozy, Jordan Bound, Kekoa McCulley, Nicholas Payday, and more. Or really, think of any of those thousands of ads you see when you're scrolling through Instagram. All of this advertising is conducted within the content that these business owners post online. It could be through a simple video, an Instagram story, a swipe post, etc. But specifically within this content, there's a particular phrase to catch a person's attention. And this is what we'll refer to as the call to action. And this call to action can be something like, if you want to learn how to make money online, DM me the word start and I'll show you. So obviously within our advertisement, we have that call to action. You're watching through the advertisement, the business owner says, hey, DM me the word start if you want to learn how to make money online. Now, once a prospect interacts with that content and they respond to the call to action, whether that's by DMing the word start, maybe commenting a keyword, or in some cases giving their information like an email or a phone number, that response from the prospect is going to take us to the first part of the remote high ticket sales process, which is known as appointment setting. So obviously here within our sales funnel, we have the appointment setting process. And essentially what we're going to be doing here is booking the prospect on a call and more or less just setting the appointment. So this would typically be a conversation in the business owner's DMs where you as the appointment setter are qualifying and booking the prospect onto a call, ultimately to see if there's any alignment with the prospect's goals and the product or service that the business owner is selling. See, at this point, the appointment setter would be qualifying the prospect and assessing their situation, finding alignment with the prospect's goals and the product or service, and getting the prospect booked onto a call if it all makes sense. So let's say the appointment setter has effectively done their job and the prospect is booked onto a longer call. What's next? This leads us to the second step in the high ticket sales process, known as remote triaging or simply the triage. Essentially, here in this case, the remote triager would be qualifying the prospect, finding alignment, and booking a final longer call. The triage would essentially be a brief 10 to 15 minute call, either by phone or on a Zoom meeting, where the triager would be further qualifying the prospect and gaining additional insight, solidifying alignment with the prospect's goals and the product or service, and booking the prospect onto a longer final session if it all makes sense. The main premise of this interaction is to ensure the prospect is truly a qualified fit for the product or service, and ultimately to just build a deeper and much closer connection to make the purchasing process smoother. Finally, if the triager has done their job correctly and has booked the next call, we'll move on to the final step of the remote high ticket sales process, known as high ticket closing, or more simply just closing. So as you can see, here we are on our final step of the remote high ticket sales process, known as closing, where essentially the closer would be assessing the prospect's situation in depth in all areas, providing an effective solution, and selling the product or service to the prospect by finalizing the payment. Essentially, the remote triager would be booking a final, much longer session for the high ticket closer, where on that meeting, ideally the deal would be closed. See what I did there? And the prospect would purchase the product or service.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Now, coming from someone who runs a business at this point in my life, managing all of this as one person is a massive amount of work. And in the beginning, when a business owner is starting out, they may take on a lot of these roles by themselves. For example, handling conversations, attending meetings and calls, etc. I know I for sure did. However, there's a ton that goes into running a business on top of all of these things. And it's truly hard to keep up with everything that's required all at once. So, as you may have guessed, that's essentially where people like you and I would come into the equation to capitalize on the opportunity. But just to recap, as I've explained before, the sales funnel would begin with an advertisement and a call to action that the prospect would respond to. From there, the appointment setter would communicate with the prospect through the DMs and set an appointment for the remote triager. The remote triager would then take a 10 to 15 minute call with the prospect, and if everything aligned properly with the prospect's goals, they would then book them on a sales call. Finally, on the sales call, the high ticket closer would sell the prospect on the program, where they would then make the purchase and finalize the process by becoming a brand new client. So let's break this down in even more depth. So for a $5,000 product or service, for example, as a high ticket closer, you can potentially bring home anywhere between around like $500 to $1,000 per deal that you help close. And this is mainly due to a higher commission rate of around 10 to 20%. Now, the skill and experience level required for becoming a high ticket closer is much higher than that of an appointment setter or remote triager. So for a beginner, it's not suggested to start here immediately. There's a lot you need to learn first. Instead, what you want to focus on is the other two roles in the industry, appointment setting and remote triaging, because in general, they're both a lot more beginner friendly, and you could still take home 5 to 10% commission checks on each deal you help close. See, appointment setting and or remote triaging requires little to no previous experience, as mentioned before, allowing you to make hefty commission checks working from anywhere in the world, simply by answering messages or taking a few calls throughout the day. As long as you could talk with someone on the phone or simply message someone in the DMs, you could still have massive amounts of success. Now, let's say for example purposes that this business owner sells a $5,000 product, and the industry average for an appointment setter and or a remote triager is 5 to 10% commission on each deal closed. That would mean you're taking home $250 to $500 per sale, which means that at even 10 sales a month that you help out with, let's say one deal closed every 3 days, for example, you could still be taking home 2 to 5K per month with relative ease. Sounds pretty cool, right?
Yeah, boy.
The more conversations that you have and the more effective you are at what you do, the more these results can compound and build. So for example purposes, let's break things down mathematically for something like appointment setting and or remote triaging. So let's say for instance you were to work 6 hours per day, maybe either answering messages, taking phone calls. You work 22 days in a given month. Within those 22 days, you book 5 calls per day. And ultimately, if you were to add everything together, you book 110 calls per month on average. Now, in this example, let's say 80% of those people who booked calls actually show up to those calls, which math-wise would be 88 people. And then with a 35% close rate, this would be 31 deals closed in a given month, or in other words, people who have purchased the product or service. And for example, with a $5,000 offer with 5% commission, this would be $250 every time a deal is closed in your pocket, which brings us to your potential monthly take-home pay. 31 deals closed at $250 each is $7,750 US per month in that case, or $93,000 per year with this one little known skill set of remote high ticket sales. Now, this is of course an example in a perfect world, if everything played out positively and correctly. So to give you another more realistic example, if you will, let's break it down if you were doing even less work, which, let me be clear, typically within this industry, you can choose your own hours, meaning you can work as much or as little as you want in a given day. Let me also be clear, you don't put in enough work, don't expect to make any money. But for the time being, let's look at a more average example, if you will. So let's say in this case, you were to work 4 hours per day. Again, you work 22 days per month. Within those 4 hours each day, on average, you book about 3 calls. And in total, on average, typically we're looking at about 66 calls booked in a given month. For example, again, with an 80% show up rate, you would typically have 53 calls booked, which the high ticket closer would take. And from those 53 calls booked, with a 35% close rate, this would be 19 deals closed per month on average. And with a $5,000 offer at 5% commission, take-home pay would be 19 deals at $250 each, which brings us to a total of $4,750 per month, which is still $57,000 a year, only working 4 hours a day. Not half bad, I would say. Think about what you'd be able to do with that sort of freedom. Like, to give you more of a real-world example, when I was working as an appointment setter, I would typically get up in the morning, hit the gym, handle DMs for an hour or two, go about my day, come back to the DMs, check them periodically, and I was still capable of making a few $1,000s per month from wherever I wanted. Or on a different day, when I was simply waiting in line ordering some food, I decided to just start checking my phone as usual, just started answering some DMs and booking appointments as I normally would throughout the day, when all of a sudden, due to my hard work from a few days prior, I received a commission payout from a client who purchased the program while I was still ordering my burrito in the Chipotle line. All I needed was Wi-Fi and a way to handle those messages. And the beauty in it all is that I was never restricted to one specific place or busy punching a clock at my 9 to 5 in the morning. Genuinely, if you're able to find a way to establish this location and time freedom, think about what you'd be able to achieve and accomplish. You could travel the world, work from anywhere, any place, and at any time, capitalize on more opportunities to spend with your family, friends, and loved ones whenever you feel like doing so, work however many hours you feel necessary that particular day, and set aside the time for the things that you truly care about. So you might be saying, well, that's great, Colin, but I still don't really know how to get started. So let's do just that. Let's break it down. Let me show you how you can start making 4 to 5 figure monthly commission checks with remote high ticket sales through our simple 4-step AOS Academy system. This is what we'll do. So step 1 is learning the skill set of remote high ticket sales and practicing communication skills daily. Step 2 is taking a deep dive through our call reviews, mock calls, and group coaching modules to ensure you have a verbal rundown and extensive understanding of how these skills are applied during the process. Step 3 is going to be our conclusion and certification process, where after passing your exam, we grant you your own certification as a remote high ticket sales representative. And finally, step 4 4 is connecting you with your first business owner and or opportunity, ensuring it's a qualified position, and assisting you with the application and interview processes. When you execute everything correctly and follow along with our frameworks, even when just starting out, you should easily be able to, first of all, learn the proper skills necessary to know what you're doing in the field, so to speak, understand the primary concepts associated with sales, such as objection handling, setting appointments, onboarding clients, and more, and finally begin booking your first appointments as an appointment setter and or remote triager to start out, potentially leveling up to the skill level of a high ticket closer. This is going to help you gradually start to ramp up to those 5 to 10K months that you're ideally looking for.
Yes! Hell yeah! Hey, come on, baby!
You pretty much get to just come into the business, help sell, and print cash as long as you put the work in. So step 1, as I mentioned earlier, is actually learning how to sell and communicate properly with prospects online, as well as obtaining the skill set of remote high ticket sales as a whole. This is going to be done through our extensive in-depth course material, one-on-one support, weekly group coaching sessions, and more. We want to really focus on isolating the pain that a prospect feels, assisting them in ultimately finding alignment with the product or service, and showing them how they can achieve their dream transformation if they explore the opportunity further. From there, we'll move on to step 2. Once you've learned the actual skills required with remote high ticket sales, we'll take you out of the classroom, so to speak, and actually put you in the field. Let me explain. We'll have you practicing mock calls, handling objections, role-playing different sales scenarios, and working alongside experienced coaches and mentors before starting to work with a business owner. This way, you'll have everything you initially need to be fully equipped and prepared for what's inevitably going to come your way. Step 3 is wrapping up the work you've done in the field and ultimately testing you on what you've learned, which we do through a simple multiple choice test along with a virtual meeting and assessment. We'll be testing you on the proper sales frameworks, objection handling abilities, sales terminology or jargon, and more. Once you've passed your assessment and have received your certification, we'll move on to the 4th and final step. So step 4 is to finally connect you with your first opportunity, ensuring it's a qualified position, and ultimately assisting you with the application and interview processes. When searching for these opportunities, we want to ensure that the position meets certain qualifications. For example, lead flow, right? That's going to be important. Preferably, we want inbound leads if we can find them, at least 500 to 1,000 new inbound leads per month. We want a good price point, at least $3,000 so you can make around $150 to $300 per sale at the minimum. Obviously, we also want proper systems. You want to be working with someone who's a good leader, someone who has the right processes in place, and not someone who's all over the place. Facebook groups and LinkedIn are great avenues to find remote opportunities, or you can even leverage someone in the industry's network and their connections to business owners to find positions as well. Within AOS Academy and our personal network, we have dozens of opportunities and business owners who we can help you get in contact with. And once you find that qualified opportunity, you'll want to get started as soon as possible to get you on track to start making income online. The question now becomes, how can you actually get started and begin achieving the results that I've been able to show you in this video? Well, you have 2 options. The first option is to take all of the information that I've given you today and try to figure it out all by yourself. And believe me, this is definitely a viable option. Like, I don't want to completely remove this one from the table. And if you feel that it's best suited for you, please go ahead. However, just know that your chance of quitting increases exponentially. If you end up getting stuck or confused, which will happen at some point, believe me, and you don't have the proper support system in place, what will you do? And this is why I created AOS Academy, where I personally take you by the hand and help you learn remote high ticket sales. Because when you do this with the help from those who have already achieved the results you're looking for, the process as a whole not only goes faster, but also ends up being cheaper in the long run. So let's take a deeper look at what's inside of AOS Academy. AOS Academy isn't just your everyday run-of-the-mill online course. It's a thriving ecosystem of students, coaches, and other aspiring winners and entrepreneurs who have connected online, all creating a remote income with the best high-income skill set there is this decade: remote high-ticket sales. See, when most of these gurus pitch you another dropshipping or SMMA course, you're thrown into a dead community with no support, no coaching, no communication, and really no guidance at all when you need the help. So instead of simply throwing you to the wolves, like how the vast majority of the marketplace does after you buy their program, you'll jump onto a one-on-one personalized onboarding session with myself to help you get best prepared to win. Then you'll gain access to our community of other students so you can share your wins and stay motivated together. Here you can also hone your craft by working with myself and our dedicated coaches and members daily. And finally, you'll gain access to 30+ hours of step-by-step sales training, along with live sales call breakdowns, weekly coaching calls, community events, and more. We'll cover in extreme detail the whole process behind nurturing leads, closing deals, handling objections, finding qualified opportunities, getting paid, scaling your income, and most of all, learning the art of sales. Inside AOS Academy, there are 6 phases we break everything down into curriculum-wise to best optimize for your success and to create a smooth workflow and environment. So phase 1 is our introduction phase, where essentially you'll learn the basic ins and outs of the high-ticket sales industry, anything from sales funnels, proper expectations, and high-ticket sales terminology. Phase 2 is appointment setting, where you'll understand the first level of the remote high-ticket sales process by diving deep into the necessary frameworks, step-by-step breakdowns, and proper scripting used by professionals in the industry when setting appointments. Phase 3 is remote triaging, a vital part of the process. We'll take you deep into the psychological elements involved when remote triaging and help you see inside the infrastructure of 7-figure businesses to ensure we can fully equip you with the proper skills necessary for your success. Phase 4 is high-ticket closing. Want to learn how to make the big bucks? Well, we at AOS Academy believe that if you want to learn sales, you need to learn how to sell. We'll take you through the in-depth frameworks to help you master one of the most vital and desired positions in the entire industry, high-ticket closing. Phase 5 is our live call analysis, where essentially you'll listen and watch real live triage and sales calls, either recorded by myself or those that my team may have taken with prospects, and understand the exact reasoning behind why people buy. Phase 6 is our final phase, which is our certification and guaranteed opportunities phase. After completing the first 5 phases, you'll enter the certification phase. In this phase, you'll have mastered the knowledge component of the program and will go through the same interview process that 7 to 8-figure companies use to hire their sales teams. This prepares you to succeed after your certification as we assist you in finding a position with our guaranteed opportunities. Over the past year, having developed AOS Academy by applying countless hours of my personal experience, putting my blood, sweat, and tears into this project to ultimately help others achieve the same results that I have, my main focus is you. Here's what you'll get inside AOS Academy. Full access to AOS Academy, 30+ hours of course material, exclusive remote high-ticket sales training and frameworks, example resumes, live sales calls, private interview training, exclusive access to our private community of winners, weekly coaching calls, live objection handling role plays, and plenty more. Now, most business owners in the online space are advocates for charging $5,000 to $10,000 plus for these particular types of programs. Like, to be frank, I've always been an advocate for charging that much for results-driven programs like this one, especially for something like remote high-ticket sales where the income potential is essentially unlimited. Like, when I first started out before the days of AOS Academy, I invested over $5,000, basically all that I had saved for college, into a sales training and certification program just like this one. So after months of putting course material together, recording and editing, testing out different strategies and more, I established the price point at $6,000 US. After all, I mean, there are people in the industry who are tripling that in a single month, like my good friend Chris from the UK. But after finishing AOS Academy prior to launching, I sort of began to reconsider. I had said to myself, Colin, remember how scary it was when you invested in yourself? You remember how long it took you to save that much money? What are you thinking charging people $6,000? You need to reconsider and find some way to make this more accessible to the everyday person. And that's when I realized $6,000 was gonna be out of reach for way too many. So for all of this, full access to AOS Academy and the 30+ hours of course material, exclusive remote high-ticket sales training and frameworks, example resumes, live sales calls, private interview training, exclusive access to our private community of winners, weekly coaching calls, live objection handling role plays, and plenty more, I'm practically giving access away for not even half of that price. We're living in the best time to learn remote high-ticket sales and tap into this $500 billion industry, which means the longer you wait to jump into the digital gold rush, the more you're missing out on 4 to 5-figure monthly commission checks. These business owners are currently going through massive employment problems, actively looking for a solution, and are willing to pay top dollar to talented sales professionals. Meaning whether it's you or it's not, they're gonna be paying someone either way. So if you're not the one getting paid, these business owners are just gonna pay the next person who took action instead. So you can either be A, the action taker, the person who takes what they want, getting paid 4 to 5-figure monthly checks, or B, the complacent, the person who watches other people win, never getting ahead in life. So if you'd like to learn more about remote high-ticket sales and how every day normal people are using this one in-demand skill set to absolutely print cash every single month online in a new $500 billion a year industry, click the button below on this page to fill out an application and book a call with us to see how you can learn the one skill set that helped me make $950 in a single day at 20 years old. Or here, when I made $600 in commission payments before I was even out of bed in the morning. We'll set up up a proper game plan, ultimately formulating the best route of success for you. And let me explain something else as well. When we book this first call, in no way, shape, or form is there going to be any sort of purchasing going on. So don't worry, okay? We will never try to sell you the program on our first call. We just mainly want to see if this program is truly going to be a good fit for the both of us. So before you get your panties in a twist, there's no hard selling or pressure on these calls. In fact, it's not out of the ordinary for us to actually like turn people away because we don't see them as a good fit. So we'll only ever present you with an offer if we truly feel like this would be a good fit for the both of us. And if there is an alignment between what we offer and what you ultimately need, we'll set up a final meeting to show you the next steps and get to work. So click the button below on this page to book in a call with us, and we will see you soon.